Hi everyone, this is Dina. I'm the Nightly Stitcher. You can find me here or you can find me on Instagram under the Nightly Stitcher. This is Saturday, March 23rd, and this is floss tube number 3. And this is Tootie. I'd like to introduce her. She's my baby of our 5 palms. She is 2 years old. She was born the 27th of December, so she was 2 this last December. And she is my little buddy. We're always together, and she doesn't like it when I have to leave, and I don't like it when I have to leave her. So she is with me all the time. She comes up here and stays in the sewing room with me while I'm working, and then she has a little bed when she's going, or she goes over there and takes her nap, which is what she's getting ready to do. And when she gets her nap out, she's going to wake up and come over and start scratching at my leg until I finally give in and we go downstairs and do something else. So Tootie is a whopping 2.9 pounds, so she is a tiny little thing. Our palms are, the largest I think is 12 pounds, and she looks so tiny next to all of them, but she thinks she's a big girl. So I just wanted you to meet her, and I'll show you some of the others sometime. So I got a new haircut since my second video, and I like it real well. I don't like a lot of hair. I either have to have my hair long or short, so I don't like that in-between feel. So anyway, I got that done. It's Saturday. I'm filming on Saturday this time instead of Monday. My husband is on a fishing trip. He is down in the southern part of the state with 3 friends of his on a spoonbill fishing trip. And if you're not familiar with spoonbill, they're a type of fish that has a long bill out the front of their mouth. Some people call them paddlefish. I don't think they are everywhere in the United States, but they call it snag. They say they're going snagging, and that is because you don't fish for them like you would regular fish. You don't use bait and throw your line out. You actually get in a boat and you drive up and down the river or the lake, and you have a treble hook that drags along the bottom of the river or lake, and then it actually snags into the spoonbill, because they lay down there on the bottom and that hook just snags them, and then they start fighting and they pull them up. So they got 2 fish on Thursday and 2 more yesterday. They have to be pretty good size for them to be able to keep them. So anyway, they're coming home with at least 4 fish, I think. And I don't know how they're doing today. I haven't talked to my husband. But we stocked the freezer up and eat on that. He likes spoonbill. I tend to like more of the crappie and bass, that type. I really like seafood, so whiting, mackerel, flounder, that's more my favorite too. So that's why we go to the Gulf Shores every year on vacation, because he does a lot of fishing and we stock our freezer with that. So I think that's probably enough about that. I wanted to thank everyone that had watched my videos and commented and subscribed. I really appreciate that. I can't believe how many people have watched just 2 videos and how many subscriptions I've gotten from that. I never dreamed it would take off like it did. My husband is the reason why I'm doing this, because he just kept telling me I needed to do a floss tube, and I am very much an introvert. I don't like people watching me. I get so nervous, and he just kept saying, you've got so much to share and so much done, and I definitely do have a lot to share, and I have a lot done. I have tons of supplies, so I don't know. He just finally, he talked me into it, so here I am, and I just can't believe y'all are that interested in what I have to show. But So let's get on to some of this stitching since we're talking about it so much. I did have one finish. I back this up, I about forgot. Talking about commenting, Brenda and Laura had mentioned me in their videos, or their last video, and I just wanted to give a big thank you to them. I think that's where all my or a lot of my subscribers and commenters came from. So I wanted to thank Brenda so much for that. It has helped me tremendously, and Brenda and Laura are the queens of flosstube to me. If it's like they're like celebrities, so when they said my name, it's like, oh my gosh, Brenda and Laura mentioned me. So I just wanted to say how much I appreciate that, Brenda, and I hope you continue to watch because I sure love your all's videos. I don't comment usually on anybody's video. I'm really bad about that because I sit in my chair and I stitch and I watch flosstube on the TV. So as we all know, you can't comment when you're watching it on TV. And I'm not good about grabbing my phone and making a comment. I just keep watching flosstubes and stitching. So I don't want you to think that I don't watch. I do always give a thumbs up, but I just not very good at commenting. So anyway, I appreciate that. I did have one finish since the last time I was here. I finished this little guy. It's Boo from Lumious Fiber Arts. The pattern is called Boo-Hoo. It has the little cat, and it also has the owl. There. And this was on my wipgo board, and so the next time it's called, I had it on there twice. I started and finished the cat during the month of March, so I'm sure I can finish the owl, start and finish it the next time, but I'll be doing him when the number he is on is called out again. So I have that one. Let me see. I gotta find my pencil. Hang on. I gotta mark this stuff off. Does everybody make a list and then mark things off? I'm not sure how to make this the easiest because I feel like I kind of get lost. I have a lot of questions that people have asked, and I'm going to answer those in a little bit. I thought I'd show a little bit of cross stitch and then we'll go to the questions. On my wipgo, I mentioned that one. I have two wipgo boards. One is for my regular whips, and then I also have an ornament wipgo board, which everything on there is new starts. So I showed one of my finishes from on the last video, and then this one. So I've got both wipgos done there. Then this one was also on my wipgo, and you saw it last time. And I got my 2022 stitches in on it. I did all the tulips along the front, or along the top. And I got the two quilt patterns, the girl at the bottom, the twins, the flower, the wording above it, and all of this, and the little alphabet. I got all of that done for my March goals. And this is all using the called for colors, but I did substitute a color up here for the tulips, and I can't remember. Let me look here. I can't remember. It's a Threadworks pattern color, but I'm not sure what that one is called, so I'll just have to let you know next time. But anyway, that was on there. And then my next one that I had on wipgo was the Village Sampler. And it's book number 15, so it's really an oldie. It's dated 1986. So I Met my wipgo goal for it of 2,022 stitches. And these are pillowcases that I just take an old pillowcase and measure a little bit bigger than my scroll rods and make a tube and slide it down in there for storage. And so it keeps it clean when I'm not stitching on it. So this is what I got done for March on it, and this is going to go into a lid of an oak box that I had someone make for me, and it was also, I showed it on my last floss tube also. So it looks like this. Did I show you that? I've done this video like 4 times, so I'm starting to like Groundhog Day. I don't know whether I've said something or repeating myself 6 times or what. So this is in my Pioneer Woman bag that I make and sell. I have an Etsy store. It's Deanna's Sewing Room on Etsy, and it's a capital D, a capital S in sewing, and a capital R in room. If you don't capitalize those, it won't pull my shop up. So that's in there. And I think that's all as far as what I've been stitching on. I just haven't stitched on much. I do have a couple of new starts. This one is Scandinavian Christmas Baubles, and it is, let me open that. It is a UK designer called Counting the Stars. And I thought this was going to be a lot of solid stitching, you know, just outline it and fill it in, but it's not. It's not. It takes all of these colors of reds, pinks, and blues, and it is 6 stitches here, 1 stitch there, 1 stitch there. I don't know that you'd really call it confetti stitching, but it's pretty close to it. So anyway, I started that about 2 or 3 days ago after I got my wipgo goals made. So this is how far I've gotten on it. And believe it or not, in that small little area, which you can see next to my hand, uses every one of those colors except for 2. So it does take a lot of thread changing. And this one I started a while back, but I don't think I showed it to you. And it is Let Freedom Ring by Leila Studio. I had this on my Christmas list, and my daughter, my oldest daughter, got that for me for Christmas. And it uses these colors. And I could not tell you what fabrics these are. I dye so many of my own, and then even if I have something I've bought, I usually don't leave the name on it because the name never made too much difference to me. I just pull it and stitch on it if I like it. So this is in my patriotic bag for Let Freedom Ring. It's got Betsy Ross sewing the flag on the back. And this is all the progress I've gotten on it. It's a really big piece, so I haven't gotten very far, and that's a lot of color changing there too. So that's what I have as far as new starts. I have a couple of whips that I thought I would show you that I haven't worked on it this year, but I said in each one of my videos I was going to pull some of my whips. I came into this year with about 22 whips, so I thought instead of showing all of them at one time, I just pull some and show them to you here and there. So this is one of them. It's called Mary 395 by Hands Across the Sea. And the 395 represents what they think is Mary's bed number. And we don't have a last name for Mary either. But the 1869 is the year she dated it. And the reason why I picked this one of all the Bristol samplers is our house was built in 1869. And I just thought it would be neat to have a sampler hanging that some little girl stitched the same year that our house was being built. And I've gotten this far on it. And this here is just, I think it's a piece of jewelry that I put a magnet on the back of it. So I haven't gotten very far, but I wanted to do it. Since it was the same year our house was built, we live in it's a big old colonial style house. It has the big white pillars out front and a gray house, and it has a balcony right out my door here. I can go out my sewing room and go out on the balcony and sit. And it's really neat in the summertime to sit out there, and people walk by and they don't know you're setting up there. So it's kind of neat. It was totally remodeled when we bought it 5 years ago. It had been purchased. It had been a rental, and I think it was in pretty bad shape. And a guy that renovates houses, he bought it and redid the entire inside. There was a teeny tiny little room, which is now my husband's office. That was the kitchen, and I mean, it was tiny. So he did move it in and made a bigger kitchen in a certain area of the house. He had to do a little bit of change and took out a doorway to put the wall in the kitchen, but we have a really neat staircase that kind of goes up with the landings on it. He tried to keep as much of the original look of the house, like with the bullseye woodwork around the houses, or around the windows. It's got the original trim to that, and the baseboards and the doors, and he pretty much, he left all that and took all the plaster out and put sheetrock up, insulated, rewired, new windows, air conditioners, heating, roof, all that. It has a widow's walk up on top, which is pretty neat. I went up there when we bought the house and took pictures from the widow's walk, and that was pretty neat to see. But I just thought this sampler would be kind of neat hanging in the house, since it was the same year as the house was built. And I thought about having, whenever we leave this house, having this sampler stay with the house. But I don't know. I can't decide. You never know who's going to end up with the house next. And I don't know about putting all the work into it. But I may just hang it while we're here, and one of my girls will take it or whatever. If they want the people that have it, keep it, whatever. I just thought it was pretty nice. And that lives in my blue daisy bag. All right, let me look here. Now let's just go on to questions from here, and then I'll show a little bit more of my cross stitch. On my questions, I had several people ask me if I was going to be doing any tutorials, and fabric dyeing and framing, and in my last video you saw some of the fabric that I dyed. But I said at first, it's like, oh no, I couldn't do a tutorial. I'm just too awkward, and there's just no way I could do a tutorial. But I've been thinking about it, and I think when I get a little more comfortable with being in front of a camera, then I may try to do that. I just feel very nervous, and I just don't think I can do that right now. Especially since like I said in my first video, I don't edit, so this is take 4, so 3 or 4. So I'm just not sure when I'll do a video on fabric dyeing and framing with the pin method, but if I do, you'll know it. It'll be posted. So I had someone ask what type of dye I use, and I use RIT dye. I use the bottled RIT dye. I have lost my pencil again. I use the bottled RIT dye. I don't use the powder. I've heard some things with the powdered dye that you have to make sure your water is super hot, and that if you don't get it dissolved really, really good, you can leave little specks of color on your fabric. So I never even tried that because I already kind of was nervous about using it with just hearing that. So, and liquid dye, you just pour it in your water. And I have had, even with the liquid dye, I've had a spot or two get on a piece of fabric that I didn't want on there. And I think it's like where I unscrew the bottle, the lid, that there's like dried dye on the neck of it, and it crumbles and it falls in the water, and then I throw my fabric in there, and I think that's probably how it happens. So I need to be a little more aware of that when I'm putting the dye in the water. So make sure it's stirred up really good. So anyway, yes, down the road I probably will. And I also use coffee and tea to dye fabric. So someone asked if I sell my bags. I do. I've already told you about that. They're on Etsy. And someone asked me what my scroll frames and what brand they are and where I get them. And these scroll frames, I have some scroll frames that are by Easy Stitch. I don't think any of these are. Easy Stitch. They have, they're made out of oak, and they have really nice, the wooden knobs on them. I have this lap stand that, here's one of the wooden knobs that has been chewed on by the dog at one time, but this lap stand's probably 30 years old. But anyway, there's Easy Stitch that I have scroll rods, scroll frames of. I also have Kay's Creation scroll frames. Kay's also makes lap stands, and I'm not sure if they do floor stands or not, but that is the stand this is. This is a Kay's Creation lap stand, and this comes in different sizes. I think there's a baby and a larger one. I think there might even be a middle-sized one, but this telescopes in and out so that you can change your rod size and go smaller or larger. And so, yeah, that's the Kay's brand, Kay's Creation. And these are available online or in shops. I've seen them both, so, or seen them all. So this is, let me show you this one. This is a Kay's, I think they call this a baby Z frame. It's just about 10 inches right here. It's pretty small, but for small Q-snaps, a little 8-inch Q-snap works real good. Just put it in here. You can put your Q-snap or a scroll frame in there. Tighten these knobs. This, you tighten it or loosen it. You want to keep these to where they're level. You don't want them kind of wonky. So you just adjust this one to fit with what height these two are at. So that's the baby Z frame. I probably have 6 lap stands, if not more. This is the Elan, and I think that's how you pronounce it. It's E-L-A-N. It's by Artisan Designs, and it's also oak, and it telescopes out for bigger projects. And the same thing, you put your scroll rod or your Q-snap in here, tighten it down, and it pivots. So that's the Elan. My husband has got to the point that I have lots of scroll frames but my husband has made me some because I have Dutch Beauty, which is huge, and I'm thinking the scroll rods on it is like 34 inches, something like that. I have that on a floor flip frame because it's so big, and he gets the dowel rods and he buys these screws. I'm not sure what they are, but he buys them and wing nuts, and that's what this is here. This is an end bar that he made, and the scroll rod, and then I just glue twill tape with glue, just glue that on there, and I've never had a bit of problem with the glue coming loose. It's wood glue, so, and then we just get the wing nut that fits it. So he makes a lot of them because I have so many projects going. I'm not going to be taking stuff on and off of scroll frames, so I have Q-snaps for everything. I have scroll frames for everything. All right, next question. What's on the bottom of my frames? And that is like this one here. This is, I think they call them grime guards, but you can get these, I think, at Garon Toten Bags website or Garon Stitchery. It's just a piece of pre-quilted fabric. I folded over, I serged the edge, and then I just folded over a 1/2 inch and made just a little casing, and then I ran 1/4 inch elastic through it. So it keeps the bottom part of your fabric clean, so if you're touching it with your arm, you're not getting oils on the back of your fabric. So that's what that is, for whoever asked that. Someone asked where I got my wipgo board. My wipgo board is, I come up with it on an Excel spreadsheet, but Jessie Marie does stuff here on YouTube. She is the creator of wipgo, and she's done it for a few years. I'm not sure how long. This is the first year that I've done wipgo, but I think she also has some templates that you can download on her Facebook page, I believe, or YouTube. But yeah, go to Jessie Marie Does Stuff, and she has it there. And then somebody asked if I would show my quilting, because I had mentioned that I had quilt scraps in some boxes over here on the shelf. I don't do a lot of quilting. I do have a long arm machine, and I bought that several years ago. I don't do a lot, so I probably am not going to be showing that. I play around with it and don't make that many quilts, but I wanted to be able to quilt it when I did make it, so that's why I bought the long arm. I made my daughters both king-size quilts for Christmas a couple of years ago, and decided in September that year that I was going to do these 2 king-size quilts, start to finish. And I ended up also deciding I needed to make my husband one if I was going to make one for them. So I did a throw size. So I don't know, it was probably about a 80-inch square for my husband, and then 2 king-size quilts from September till Christmas Eve, and I was finishing up binding on Christmas Eve. So I really burnt myself out on that, and I went 2 years, I think, and I never touched anything. So I have done a little bit, but not much. I've got a quilt on my frame right now that I'm trying to get done for our camper, and it's, of course, another king-size quilt. So I need to get that quilted so I can get it in our camper this year. But I probably won't be showing quilting. I may change my mind, but probably not. I had someone ask how I count my stitches, because I keep track of what I stitch every day. And I always run a working copy of my pattern, and I use highlighters to mark off as I stitch. And so when I'm highlighting an area, I count those stitches, write it on a piece of scrapbook or a piece of paper and a notebook, and at the end of the day I just total them up and I put it in my planner that was shown in the last video. And if I work on something or 2 projects or 3 projects, whatever, I always keep track of how many stitches I've done on each project. So if I work on 2 projects today, I'll write down 1 project and how many stitches I did on it, and then the next project and how many, and then I total them up and I put that in my book for the day. So that's how I count my stitches. Someone asked how I store my fancy floss, and as you all know, in my first video I was on a little rant about floss drops, that I had said I hate this and I still hate it, and it looks pretty but I just don't like it. So I finally decided what I did. I had each alphabet hanging on a curtain hook or shower curtain hook, and then I have them on a curtain rod hanging in my sewing room. Well, I don't like the light getting to them. I don't like the dust getting to them. I don't like the dog hair getting to them. So I finally decided to do this, and I think I'm going to like this now. But I took these little snack bags, and I cut a 4.5 by 5.5, no, 3.5 by 4.5 inch poster board. I wrote the name across the top and the brand over here in the corner, and then I dropped my floss down in there so I can just pull these bags. But then what I did was put the shower curtain hook back on the curtain rod. So I think I'm going to like this much better. Still has the light that can kind of get to it, but it doesn't hang in direct light. It's by the doorway next to the hall, so it doesn't get any strong light. So I think I'm going to like that a lot better. I also had someone that asked me about my son-in-law's YouTube channel, that I said he's the IT guy. So if I have any kind of problems with the computer, or he's the IT guy for MU Law School at Columbia, Missouri. So he knows all the technical stuff. So I just holler at Daryl and say, help me. But he has a YouTube channel on woodworking, and he does beautiful work. And if you like that, or your husband, or guys and girls are into woodworking too, I know. So if you like that kind of stuff, his channel, it's D.E. Jaeger, and that's Jaeger Woodworking. D.E. Jaeger Woodworking. You can find him on flosstube. He has tutorials of cutting boards, and I know he did a standing potting, not a potting bench, what am I thinking? A standing garden, a raised garden bed. It's kind of like a little wooden basket kind of thing on legs, and you can roll it around. He did a tutorial on that. He's got several tutorials out there right now. His last one he did was a honeycomb cutting board. He's done beautiful cutting boards. So if you like watching those, he did that honeycomb cutting board, and I last checked a few days ago, and he had over 300,000 views. And I can't even imagine someone watching my video 300,000 times. So to me, that is quite an accomplishment to have that many views on a video. He was excited too. That's all of my questions. So I'm going to show you some of my haul. Let's see, let me make sure I didn't miss anything before this. Okay, so on my haul, I haven't bought any market pieces yet. Needless to say, I don't need anything, but I'm going to buy it anyway. So I am getting ready to go on vacation the end of April. We'll be going down through Little Rock, Arkansas, and I always like to stop at Shepherd's Needle, and then we go over to Conway, Arkansas, to a Stitcher's Garden. And I do that on our way down or coming back from Gulf Shores, Alabama. But I want to buy my market stuff there or in one of those shops. I think we may be going over into Florida, so I'll probably find some shops over there too. So I'll be picking up some stuff there and showing it whenever I get back. I definitely have some market things that I want to pick up. But this is all PDFs that I bought off of Etsy. And I had mentioned it in my last floss tube about supporting the Ukrainian designers. There's so many Ukrainian cross-stitch designers out there. And we all know the mess that's going on over there. And I feel so sorry for those people. I just can't imagine living the way they're living right now. I mean, I think we all take for granted, you know, the comforts we have and what we have, you know, our home and what we have in our home and the freedom to just come and go and do what we want and, you know, eating when we want. And, you know, these people are scraping trying to get food and water, and they're living in bombed out buildings. And I can't imagine leaving my home with a suitcase, you know, not knowing where you're going, not know when you're coming back or if you're coming back. I mean, they don't even know if they're going to have a home to come back to. And you've just walked out and left everything because of what's going on. So they don't have jobs, you know, everything's shut down over there. They're not bringing any money in, but yet they still need to eat and drink water and all. So really urging everyone that can help to try to get on Etsy and buy some of their patterns if you can. Stitchy Princess, she even has come up with a custom, I think it's called a custom order or something like that. If you go to Stitchy Princess on Etsy, it's her charts are so cheap. I spend anywhere from $2.50 to $4 probably for a PDF chart from the Ukrainian designers. And needless to say that you know, that is super cheap for a design, especially when you see some of the designs they have. But she came up with on Etsy a little place where you can purchase something for $99. And I don't know, I'm not done it because I bought tons of charts, but I think that's a way that you can donate more money to her than just buying a $3 or $4 chart. So just a second, I have to get a drink. Can you see I'm obsessed with my palms? Oh, palm mom. So anyway, she has a way that you can donate extra money if you'd like to help them out. But first off, what I started out with, I ordered this off of 123 Stitch. I forgot I did have something that was not a PDF. I ordered this from 123 Stitch. It's called Dawn Chorus from Long Dog Samplers. And this is part of the thread it uses. But they were out of a lot. It does calls for all of these threads, and they didn't have but probably half of them. So I'm going to have to pick those up on vacation if I can. Hopefully I can. I'd like to start that this year. So, so now to the Ukrainian designers that I wanted to show you. I had a couple that I showed in my last video, and I'm going to show them again because somebody might not have seen it, and I've got them all together anyway. So I am getting to the point I'm going to have to start putting my PDFs on a spreadsheet. I have a spreadsheet with all my patterns on it, and I'm getting ready to put my PDFs on a spreadsheet and my needlepoint silks. So this is one by Happy Mood Point. It's called Sampler Quaker, and I showed this last time. And Happy Mood Point, they do a lot of monochromatic patterns. This one I showed last time was called Borders. I think it's Sampler Borders. So what I bought the other night was called Quaker Diamonds by Happy Mood Point. I bought vintage flowers. I really like that. Because those could even be done separate and made into little pillows. I think that's pretty. This is called, it just says sampler number 77, and my printer was running out of ink at this time. That shows actually in blue, but my printer was about out of ink. So that was samplers. This is sampler, no, I think they all say sampler. It's a SS037. They all have a number and then they say sampler. This is vintage birds. And then, and like I said, these are like $3-4. It's unbelievable, the price of these, as detailed as they are. This is We Love Nature. And I really like that. I'm an animal person anyway, so, you know, dogs, butterflies, grasshoppers, a beetle, a quail, rabbit, a cat. So I think that is really pretty. This is called Quaker Street. And I like this where the alphabet is inside the house. And it's also got the alphabet across the bottom. And then this last one's by Happy Mood Point is Faith, Hope, and Love, which, my gosh, don't we need faith, hope, and love right now? The world needs faith, hope, and love right now. Then I bought a bunch of them from Stitchy Princess. This is Miss Sunflower. And sunflower is the flower of the Ukraine. Then I bought this one, which is so cute for right now. It's called Rabbits. This one is called The Deer. And I really like her dress. This one is called Winter Forest. This one is called Winter Woodland. This one is called The Fox. And these are, it's kind of hard to see, but these are all fox that are running around the edge. This one is also called Miss Sunflower, and it's a little different. And that is all by Stitchy Princess. And she posts on Instagram and YouTube almost every other day that kind of talks about their situation over there, because they are still in Ukraine. And she said the other day that there was explosions that was just 100, she say 100 meters from their house. And I Googled it, and that would be like the length of a football field, a little bit more. So that shows you how scary that can be. This one I bought from Cross Stitch with Art, and it's called Scary Moon. And this again was where my printer was running out of ink, because everything that's bright pink should be orange. So I just left it. It doesn't matter to me. But it is all in orange, and then you just stitch all the black. So I think that's real cute. I think I may start that too this year. And that was Cross Stitch with Art. This one I think I showed last time. It's from 2x2 Stitch Art. Wait a minute. 2x2 Stitch Art. And I think that's really pretty too. So these are all from Ukrainian Designers, and if there's any way you could help out a little bit, I'm sure they would appreciate every dollar they can get right now to support them, and if you could say a prayer, and hopefully that mess will be done before long, and it's gonna take decades for them to rebuild their country. It's just such a sad situation. I did want to, I think I only have one thing left. I wanted to show you a couple of things I have framed in my house. You know, with stitching for more than 40 years, or around 40 years, I have tons of stitching. I have up my staircase and in my hall, I have a whole lot of samplers. I have a group of samplers here on my opposite wall of what you're looking at. So I thought, well, I'll just, instead of showing a lot of stuff at one time, I would kind of pull something down, show it to you, talk about it, and then, but I have these that hang in my hall right outside my door here. This is called My Last Stitches of the 20th Century. And I don't remember the designer, but I think it might be just Nan. It's got beads on it. It's cross-stitch and beads and some metallic floss. But it says My Last Stitches of the 20th Century. And then down in the bottom, it says stitched on December 31st, 1999. And I had this all stitched up, and on New Year's Eve, I put my very last stitches in. So then, on New Year's Eve, right after that, just right after the clock struck 12, I started this one. This is my first stitches of the 21st century. And it has 2000 up there in metallic, and the charm. Has some specialty stitches there. And more beads. And then at the bottom it says stitched on January 1st, 2000. So these are 22 years old. Oh, I have a nice little thread right there. Okay. All right. Well, I believe that is all I have for today. So I thank you all for stopping by and watching and commenting and subscribing and supporting my channel. I still can't believe I'm doing a YouTube channel. If it hadn't been for my husband, I wouldn't. I had that desire there to do a channel, and I've thought about it for 3 years, and I kept saying, oh, I'd like to do that, but I could never do that. But my husband he just kept pushing me and saying, you can do it, you can do it. He says, you have so much to show and so much to share with people and talk about. And he knows my love of cross stitch, and he supports me 100%. And he doesn't care what I buy. You know, I could order $1,000 worth of books today, and he would not care one bit. He's my big supporter, so I couldn't get much better than him. But anyway, he's the one that got me started, and I just never thought I would be the type to do it, but I'm glad I did, and I'm glad you all stopped by, and I hope you continue to watch and subscribe and like and comment and all the stuff. So until we meet next time, y'all have a good next 2 weeks, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.